Is your relationship feeling like a never-ending loop of routines? Like driving the same familiar road every single day? Well, this video is going to help you show how to break free from these relationship ruts and how to rebuild your romance all over again. I am Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions, and I help thousands of people just like you get out of these relationship ruts. I was given I guess a metaphor last week that really sunk in with me, especially when it comes to this merry-go-round of life. It's kind of this idea that we just do things because it's the things to be done. And we lose the idea of what our intentions is and what our purpose is. We're just like, well, you go to school, you get a good job, you buy a house, you buy a car, you live in a good neighborhood so that your kids can go to school, so that they can get a good job, so that they can buy a house, so that they can buy a car, and they can do it all over again. It's just kind of this idea, and an American dream really feeds this perceived expectation. And I've said many times, perceived expectations is the killer of joy. And this rut pulls us into these ideas of, or this merry-go-round is pulling us into a rut of these ideas, of these perceived expectations of what we need to do. And then we start building these checklists of how to be enough. We get these ideas of perfection and how do we be the best, and then we get these checklists of just kind of how do I get by. And all of it is just further and further stripping away at the gears in our relationships. We talked earlier this week about the locus of control and how to find balance. And this is another killer of relationships, as we just kind of feel like we are roommates living in the same household. We no longer feel like we have this bond and this emotional, romantic connection. And when you find resentment in your partner, it's really hard to want to be intimate with them. When you see the chugging day in, day out, it's really hard to say, this is my human, this is somebody I want to really grow with, because you're not growing yourself, your partner's not growing, you're just kind of doing the things that you feel you need to do. And so it's important for us to get off this merry-go-round. We really need to find awareness. We need to know kind of what the ruts are. And sometimes what you realize and what you find out is it's a scary question, and you don't necessarily want to know, because sometimes we're in this because of those negative narratives and those limiting beliefs I talked about earlier this week. Go back to those previous videos this week. Really, there are things in our lives that we kind of feel like we don't deserve, or we do deserve. We deserve to have kind of just this day-to-day. It's predictable, I'm comfortable, I don't really want to put in the effort to do more. This gets me by, like, and this is what I know. And you know, like, my parents may not have been like the happiest, but at least they were together, you know. Or when my parents talked, they fought, and then they ended up at just blowing things up. And I don't know if I have the words and the confidence to have the words or say the words that I can't take back, and what can give me the words to be able to make this work. It happens a lot. And sometimes awareness is a hard thing, because remember that in that negative dynamic, and there's an article on this, so you can go to my blog, I will connect with it. And I talk about this in the Key Steps Emotional Regulation book, that universal construct at the center of it. But We have emotional reaction, which causes cognitive distortions and invalid data points. Our attachment comes up. This fear, this insecure attachment, fear of abandonment, fear of obligation and being a burden, pulls into a negative narrative. Our past, whether it's stress or trauma, comes up, creates a perceived reality. A lens comes over. Our past occupies our present. And that perceived reality is what prevents us from being able to be our authentic selves, from being able to trust our partner, to be vulnerable with our partner, to make these changes and to find these awarenesses. But once we do find a sense of awareness, and sometimes working with a professional will help. I help thousands of clients be able to build better relationships, whether that is with, how do I put this? Not within themselves. Yes, within themselves, but I can heal couples individually. So one person comes into the counseling or the coaching session and says, man, like I have all this problem with my partner and I don't really want to talk bad about them. And it's like, well, there's nothing to talk bad about. There's a dynamic there. And what we're looking at is fixing your half of the dynamic, because you're 100% responsible for your half of the dynamic. And so individually, we can just fix your half of the dynamic, and what that will do, it will ultimately change the other half. The reaction to your half of the dynamic will change, and when the reaction to your half of the dynamic changes, that other half of the dynamic changes. So you can do it individually. You do not have to have a willing partner to change a relationship. It helps because of that trust feedback loop, but it's not necessary, because it will all build when one person is committed. And we find acceptance. So once we are in a state of change, we have awareness, we get to acceptance, right? This is my model for change. And we're just trying to understand and accept our half of the dynamic, take care of our side of the street. And there's going to be an article, so go to the video description and you'll see an article on keeping your half of the street clean. I'm actually building all of this right now for the next book and the next series. We're going to do a couples interpersonal skills success group, and then we're going to have the young professionals interpersonal skills success group. So it's the same topic, but we're going to look at it at a different angle. I'm actually building the content now towards the end, after we learn kind of how people are interacting. We're going to look at that negative cycle and how to get out of it. And it really goes into keeping your side of the street clean and how you do that. How do you get out of that comparison trap that we talked about a couple weeks ago? And I really see this with the Alaskan highway. And in the spring, after all the snow melts, there's a highway system there. So they run the trucks when the snow is rock hard and it's just a sheet of ice. But then when the snow melts, they kind of have signs that says pick your rut. And they have pick your rut because these are, it's a hard weather. It's hard to keep good quality roads going, especially when not most of the time it's under water or frozen conditions. And they say pick your rut, so whatever rut you choose is the rut you will be driving in for 80-90 miles. And you can't really switch out of that rut. It'll break axles. You're in the middle of nowhere. And so that pick your rut idea really resonates with this idea of us wanting to stay in a roommate situation. It's the rut that we know, and we're afraid to come out of it. So we're afraid we're going to break axles and we're going to be in a worse situation than if we were to stay in the same situation. And so what we want to do is slowly come out of those ruts. Small little steps will start to build faith and trust in yourself and faith and trust in the relationship. That trust feedback loop is so crucial. I've done some videos on it, so you can go back and take a look at them. But that trust feedback loop, if I don't trust myself, I'm withholding. And as I'm withholding, people are not trusting me. And so as I trust myself, as I will then open myself to others, and they'll start to trust me. So it takes little tiny things like letting people own some space, being able to take ownership for your side of the street. These little things really add up to very, very big movements. And then what we want to do is have some romance coming back in. So not only are we getting kind of the nuts and bolts taken care of, where we're opening ourselves up more and being more vulnerable and trying to connect more, but we're also bringing in romance. And that's not to say that, you know, letting go of all the grievances, but understanding that from a bigger picture, this is a life partner. And if you don't fix this, it's just going to be a different warm body. You don't get out of the rut until you choose to get out of the rut. The ruts stay the same. But often we go to divorce and break up because we just find a new person to do the same dynamic with. We didn't change ourselves. We have to change our half of the dynamic, or we will not change. I don't care how awful you think your partner is. If you don't change yourself, you will take that into your next relationship. And then you're the awful, unsufferable person. I promise, I see it over and over and over and over again. So we change who we are. We find out where that dynamic is. We accept our half of the dynamic. And then we do small actionable steps to get away from it. And then we try to open ourselves up for a space of romance. And that can be 20 minutes once a month. It's a starting point. But hopefully we're getting to something even as small as 5 minutes a day of just holding intentional space for our partner and for us to be together. And some days it's like, I don't have anything to say, but I am committed to this and I am committed to us. So I'm here. I'm just here. I'm literally physically just here. And others, it opens themselves up for more things to talk about. But having a set time, having a clear understanding of what is going to be discussed or not discussed or what it's going to look like, that predictability really curtails the anxious mind. Because remember, we're stuck in a perceived reality. So we really perceive whatever is going to happen is going to be so much more catastrophic than actually what will happen. And that will prevent us. When we have a partner with PTSD and we want to better understand kind of what's going on with that partner, like why are you shutting down? Why are you getting so angry and throwing things? Like, what did I do that got this? And again, that's kind of a victim mindset. They have to own their half of the street. But we want to know more. And what we find is when we allow the partner to have a perceived sense of control, to say, you know what, if once a week we set a timer for 15 minutes, I can outline, or you can give me questions and I can choose the questions that I'm wanting to answer. I can be present for that. I can be present emotionally for 15 minutes. After that, like, bandwidth is gone and like all this stuff is bubbling up and I don't know how to handle it. I can give you 15 minutes, and that's going to heal your partner with PTSD. It's going to heal your relationship, and you're going to trust that person more. So you're going to better understand what's going on. And you're going to be able to validate and really bond with that person. But what it takes is perceived control. What it takes is this framework for success. And that's what I build with my clients, is a framework for success. This predictability that no matter what I do, I know that I can make it work in this space that I have created and outlined. And then we take that and you can create and realize that these spaces can be everywhere in our lives. It doesn't have to be in this one contrived spot. And then what we want to do is build a relationship revival plan. And a relationship revival plan is really trying to find ways that you two can bond. And so with some of my clients, I love me some traffic lights. I've already done this week on a previous one, but when it came, on the balancing the locus of control. But green means go. I like these things. These are the things that I really enjoy. Yellow, give or take. Red means stop. I'm not going to do it. And I said it opposite last time, and it's because things I'm willing to do, things I want to do, things I don't want to do, things I don't really care. And then what are my energy levels? Because sometimes extroverts love an introvert, and an introvert loves an extrovert. It gets them out and doing things. And sometimes having that, being able to have somebody to kind of come home to, is comforting to somebody who, you know, needs all this extroverted energy. And so finding where our energy levels are and saying kind of, this is what I have, and then saying, okay, we're going to agree at this time, we're going to do something today. I'm kind of at a 2, so I don't want to do a lot. And you're like, okay, well, your 2 could probably be my 1. What if we did like a 2 of mine for like an hour, but then we do a 1 of yours like tonight? Or let's do a 2 tonight, and we'll just take it easy tonight, and we can take it easy tomorrow morning. And what we're doing is now we're not hearing, no, I don't like you, or no, I don't want to hang out with you, which is what we interpret. Ostracization and trauma is really, really rampant. Instead, we're saying, I'm with you. Let's find an even ground in the middle, because I'm not looking to go clubbing, and I'm not looking to go like rock climbing and I'm hanging off a cliff. But like, I do want to spend time with you, and there are things that we can do that gives you the sense of adventure, your external experience, but my comfort and my ease, because, you know, I've set this home up, and this is what I know. And so we're working together. We're using our words to say, I validate you. I want to be around you. I want to share things with you. Let's figure out what that is, instead of just saying, no, I don't want to do that, because what your partner is hearing is, I don't want to do that with you. And that's where the breakdown comes. So the revival is really being very clear and explicit that I want to spend time with you. I want my life with you. I just don't know what to do. And that's okay. And that's how we make it better. I am Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness. I have a lot of supports that I offer individuals and couples to help them live happier and healthier lives. And I would love to help you.